Lawin Media Network.
Bringing to you the most relevant content across all platforms.
Business, legal, politics, health, lifestyle, and entertainment.
Your source for all the news and updates in the greater Houston community, from Texas and all over the world.
Get informed and empowered with Lawin Media Network.
The following program is produced by Lawin Media Network. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individuals appearing on the show and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Lawin Media Network, its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. The content provided in this program is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Lawin Media Network does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information.
Prepare for an emotional roller coaster as you explore our Be Bold episode clips. Immerse yourself in the most unforgettable moments and enjoy hearty laughs with our collection of bloopers and highlights.
Be bold, why not? Highlights and bloopers.
I met my husband, I think it was back in I just graduated from college because that was like 1990s. I'm not going to give a clue how old I am, but anyhow, it was 1990s. I graduated from college. I met him through his cousin. And I met him, he lives in Mandaluyong City, but it's outside of Mandaluyong, okay? Not inside. There's a joke in the Philippines about that.
How do you pronounce Mandaluyong?
Mandaluyong.
Mandaluyong.
Yeah, Mandaluyong City. That's where I met him. And then it was actually like, I don't know, when you connect with a person, you know, like just when you look straight in the eye, you feel something.
Right? What do you feel, if I can know?
I don't know, just my heart just the love dub. No, just
We are trying to really kind of get to know even more about ourselves, because that's important, that's evolution. But can I tell you something? I think relationship can be beautiful, but I do believe also the first relation that we have to always nurture, cultivate is the relationship that we have with ourselves. What do you think about that?
Oh, I totally understand. Yeah, that I can relate, because you know how they say you have to love yourself first, right? Because if you love yourself, you have something to give. So you have to learn who you are. You have to really know your wants, your needs, your desires, because based on those things, then you'll be able to realize or know what you want from other people too.
So true.
That's right. So the self-learn, it's very important. You learn yourself first, then you'll be able to create a better relationship with other people. But at what point in your life did you say that, oh, this is a person I'm going to marry?
I remember my family used to say, you know, you always say you want to marry a African-American person. So I guess when I was very young, I even didn't remember that. And I got married with an African-American person. So I think sometimes you have this kind of idea or ideal person, you know, and you're still working on that. You visualize, and then life brings you the person, because maybe you are creating that kind of also, you know, vision, energy, you know, all those things. So I think it was maybe like 19 years old when I got married when I was 27. So I will tell you, I was never like going out with a lot of people. I used to have a lot of friends, even until now. But again, you start really changing and becoming more attracted to the opposite sex. So then you start really see like, wow, there is attraction, you know, and then you start really see more that person, you know, with your heart, with your mind. But I will tell you something, it has to be a balance. Synchronicity. It's not just the mind, it's the heart, and even the spirit, because it's the perfect balance now. I could.
in the beginning of the relationship, it's knowing each other. It's a little bit of a challenge because we try to appear like we're good, right? Because we're trying to impress each other. So we're trying to behave the best that we can.
I love what you say because it's so true.
It's true.
You try to impress, and guess what? I have found out. When you try to impress someone, you're losing your identity. Because there's going to be a point in where you cannot continue just saying yes to everything. So you become that person that become like a shadow without even the intention. So it's very important, be yourself. Don't try to always please. Don't try to always say yes, because you're going to be losing yourself in the middle of that kind of relationship without even notice.
Yeah, and that's very true. And it's not just when you are in a relationship, like a man-woman relationship, that you have that kind of a challenge. Because even in like friendships, sometimes you try to please everybody just because you want to be accepted, you want to be in, you want to feel you belong, so you try to like go with the flow, and you're losing your own identity. And just like what you said.
I would like to ask the audience if they have any comments, because maybe they related with this. Maybe you're in a relationship because you're trying to please always your boyfriend or your girlfriend.
Or your friend.
That's not the way it should be, because we have our own identity.
Yeah,
we should learn when to say no, when to say yes.
What do you think are the biggest or most important things that you have learned from your parents growing up?
Oh, yeah.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, let's go with
She can go
who.
first.
You want to listen to you first, huh?
So Mara, you go first. Marcus said you first.
It's a gentleman.
I would say the biggest thing that I learned from both my mom and my dad was definitely like, I don't know, wherever I was with them, like it felt like home. Like if like it wasn't because I was away, or just them in general, they feel like home to me. Like I don't have to be home in order to feel like it is home because I'm with them. Like they're very caring and stuff, so they bring home to wherever we are. And I just want to do that with like to my future family if I ever have one.
What about you, Marcus?
For me, I mean, I'll say easy is like just been the sacrifices that my parents have made. I mean, to start out with my mom, my mom came. So, when my parents got divorced, I was in Mexico from 2 to 5, and then I went back to the States. And my mom, she left her. I mean, for her, family is everything. And I mean, family, including me, but also, her relationship with her parents, her sisters, everything. She left Mexico with 2 luggages. That's it, barely any money. And, she started her life for me here in Houston. And I remember specifically, like, I had some friends from school, and I wanted to like hang out, like invite them to our new apartment stuff. And we didn't have any furniture, like we didn't have anything. Literally, it was just carpet, and that was it. And my mom was worried, like, well, what are they gonna say? What they gonna do? And literally, we had like the best time. We enjoyed like just playing, our company. I mean, from everything from like my mom said, my training. I remember when I used to be in band. I used to play the clarinet. I remember once I had forgotten like some pants that so it was like, oh, you have to be in a uniform and stuff. And it was like literally like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to my show, and I didn't have my pants, and I was stressing, what am I gonna do? And my mom was like, don't worry, like, she's always solved every problem. It's like, don't worry, we're gonna find a way. And like she let me borrow some. I mean, it looked a little funny, but I mean, it was better than nothing, So that, and I mean, same with my dad. My dad, since I was a kid, I mean, my dad played football. I learned it from him. I went to play as I played at 9. I wanted to play younger, but he didn't let me till 9. But I mean, he's always been my coach. My dream has always been to, get a scholarship. I didn't want to, let my parents pay for school. Like it was like my dream as a kid, and he led me to that dream to be able to do that for my mom and my dad. So my dad was always on time to my practices. He would come to my like in 3rd, 4th grade. We would have lunch. He would come to my school lunch, eat with me. I remember once he bought ice cream for my whole classroom. I mean, he would be at the field days. He would volunteer, be chaperone. I mean, he always had a really good relationship with me, and it was nice. So that's something I really look up to my parents, and I really appreciate that because I mean, formed me to the person I am today. So yeah.
Wow, we have very good answers. You two are just So anyway, we thank you so much, Marcus and Mara,
Thank you for having me.
Eminem. They're
Thank
Eminem,
you for the time. Thank you for this.
right? You have to pick your battle. Like, not every time that they make a mistake, you have to make it a big deal.
That's true.
Yes.
That's so true. Some
Yes.
parents, you just have to really kind of say, okay, I was in their shoes, in his shoes, you know?
Mhm.
So you cannot be like, no, ignore that fact, because again, it's about connection. It's about, understanding his feelings, his emotion in this case,
Mhm.
like he's now in 22 years old. I was in his shoes. I was abroad also. I was in the same school. So I know a lot of the journey that he's experiencing. Although believe it or not, it's different the generations.
Oh, yes, there's a big generation gap, but we just have to understand that as well. Because I think a lot of times parents, they are so set on this is the right thing. It's like some parents like are black and white. I grew up like this, then you need to listen to me. But no,
No
it's-
anymore. I don't
yeah,
think
not
it's,
anymore. We gotta adapt to the changes. We gotta consider and respect the generation gap, because the ways before may not work. Yeah,
No.
they don't work now, but we just
Absolutely.
have to give credit for our kids too, because it's not that they're not listening, it's not that they don't want to follow you, but look at what are their involvements they have. And it's
also
like
I
they're working
think-
so hard, and then we expect them to still do a lot of things outside of what they're doing, and it's like it's a pressure for them.
But
So
also, I
yeah.
think that's
You are guided all throughout by the school system or the education system. At the same time, of course, it's you. It's always going to be you who's going to determine or who's going to know what you really want in life. And as long
I
as you're
think that's
following it, yeah.
important too. Yes, I think that's important to actually get to know yourself.
Mhm.
Because once you start getting to know yourself, you're going to see, I like singing, I like dancing, I like painting, I like communications, I like to engage with people, I like to, it's more about get to know your skills, your knowledge, what is easier for you, what comes natural, because that's very important. That's going to give you a direction in your life. Sometimes many people also start studying any kind of career just because they have the pressure from parents. I believe that you have to listen to yourself. You have to be very bold to speak to them, because it is important. If you love arts and then they are asking you to go in medical school, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a frustration. It's not going to be something that you're going to enjoy. So you have to be very, very bold to speak out, to really kind of have I always say, go and get a coffee with yourself. And that way you can start really knowing what are my skills, what do I love to do, what comes natural. So
Yes.
you think that's
Oh,
important?
yes, absolutely. That's very important, because whatever it is that you pick or you choose to do in your career, as long as you love what you're doing, it won't feel like a job. Yes. And of course, as we grow up, we may end up into different careers. Like for me, I am a nurse by profession. But if you have that passion, never ever give up. Always follow your dream, because even though you end up to be in a different career, you still are living your passion. And that's what it is all about. Go after your dreams, because that's how also you're going to know what you really want to become. In my situation, it may have been different because I had to give up my dream just to be able to help my family be becoming a nurse. But it doesn't mean that I gave up on it. I always had that desire in me. And then God knew that that's what I always wanted. So whatever God has started in you, he'll be very faithful to complete it. And now he's pouring in all the opportunities. Yes.
So-
And we actually have a question from the audience or from our viewers. It says there, what is the best advice you can give to seniors who are still looking what course they will take in college? What do you think, Atala?
Well, I think that's a very good question. I think that they need to go back and just really see, like, what do I like to do? Do I like maths? Do I like maybe, communications? Do I like maybe science? Based on what they like and enjoy, go ahead and start matching the class.
That's right. Yeah. They have to know your strength. Know your strength. And also, what kids now are doing, they take like general courses. 'Cause in the beginning of the college year, or like the first or second up to second year of college, you take general courses, right? And then on, you can figure out what you really want to specialize into, or what
Yes.
course you're actually going to get. So it doesn't mean that when you don't know what you want to do yet while you're in senior high school, don't lose hope. I mean, you're going to learn it. You're going to know it by the time you get to college. Because there are people out there that are late bloomers. Do you believe in that? Like, there are some that are late bloomers. They don't know what they want yet while in high school, but then they suddenly realize, oh, I actually want to become this. I actually want to be a pilot, or I actually want to be, and as you said, just know your strength.
Yes, and something else that I noticed, because sometimes when I'm, maybe listening or coaching maybe a teenager, or a young adult, sometimes they have a lot of fears of making a mistake. Guess what? We're human. We're all gonna go through different journeys. We're gonna learn from those mistakes, but don't try to be perfectionists, because that's where sometimes we are lacking that confidence. And I have seen that happen with a lot of young people. There is no perfection in life. This is a journey. We are learning, right? But try to be very honest with what you really like and enjoy it. And again, visualization is power.
Yeah, and I can relate as a parent because I have two adult kids. So in the beginning, one of them didn't really know what he wanted to do, but he loves music. So he thought that he would go into a music degree. But along the way, I mean, he realized, oh, he wanted to do business. So don't worry, our seniors out there, don't beat yourself up just because you don't know what you want to become when you are in senior. And I know there's that pressure because your peers and your friends already know what they want, but it's okay. It's okay, because you will learn along the way what you really want. It will come to you as long as you listen to yourself, you listen to your skills.
Retirement is like a new beginning, as you mentioned, totally. And it could be like a new adventure if you think about it. But we need to consider also that sometimes we block opportunities because in those cases, we don't see clearly. At least I'm talking from experience, like, maybe people that I know, family members that maybe they are between the 70 something, people that they are even now 80, 82 years old, they lost a husband or they lose their wife, or sometimes maybe they go through a lot of emotional challenges, because they are still losing friends. And that's also affecting what they want to do in life.
Yeah, and also that at that retirement stage, you can have like a new purpose in life too. I mean, it's like now you have the time. If you have the resources, then you can now do whatever you've always wanted to do, like continue a purpose-driven life because you have the luxury of time. And if you have the resources, then by all means, leave that, because retirement is, we're getting close to the end of life and we're all gonna get there, but we got to enjoy that last part of our life, right? So we can say when we go, yes, I've lived a purposeful life.
Have time to travel. Don't wait until you become like, I'm going to be retired, because later on, maybe you have the money, but you don't have your health.
Yes.
So do it when you are able to do it. Never wait until 10, 15 years, because you never know how life will change.
One of our questions will be, what are the most common challenges of retirement? And I think let's dig deeper into the challenges of finances. Why do you think that is one of the most, or actually strongest or heaviest challenge of being a retired person? Why do you think so?
I think would be several factors. Sometimes maybe it depends on your culture. Maybe you want to continue helping your kids. Like I will tell you, in Latin America, at least in Mexico, I mean, your kids can be 30, 40 years old, and your parents, they will always support you no matter what. So maybe that will be one of the issues. Sometimes maybe it could be like I mean, suddenly you start getting sick, and you start having more appointments, doctor appointments or treatments, and maybe you don't have insurance. Many people go like that. My father got ill, unfortunately. He didn't have insurance, and we were going to doctors, appointments, treatments, and that was very, very expensive. So many people don't have insurance. That would be a major,
it's one of the major challenges.
Yes,
and of course,
definitely.
it's basically because you work all your life, so you have income coming in every month, right? And then you suddenly stop working, so you lose your source of finances. So that could be too. And because maybe you did not prepare early for retirement, like you don't have enough savings, you don't have enough in your retirement account, and then things happen. It's just like what Atala had said, as we get older, we get more sick, and there's medical bills there, we have kids that we want to support and continue to support. So that's where the challenge comes, and then we have to hire caregivers to take care of us when we get sick. So
that you mentioned, that's very expensive. I have a very good friend of mine, is 83 years old. She just recently had a surgery, knee surgery, and she told me that is amazing. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars in daycare. I mean, like, not daycare, I'm sorry. I'm sorry what I'm thinking about here.
Like in assisted living or not daycare.
In nursing.
In
nursing
homes.
Yes.
Too,
it's amazing. So a couple of weeks, thousands of dollars. Think about it.
Yeah, and if you don't have enough money in your retirement, they say there's social security benefits, but we hear a lot. I mean, we hear a lot from people out there, even our own patients, that they cannot even retire because the social security benefits are not enough. There's disability, there's social security, there's Medicaid for those that are of low income and all that. But I mean, it's not enough. And another comment.
Watching from the Philippines, what are some key factors to consider when planning retirement? Hi, Chelo.
Shell.
Oh, Shell.
Shell the Seco. All right. Well, I think we're going to actually get to that whenever, we're the last segment of our show. We're going to give some solutions or ways how to cope with the challenges of retirement. But just to, answer that quickly, I think it's important. It doesn't mean that retirement is like you only prepare when you're close to it. It's good to prepare for retirement early on.
It's a journey.
Yes, because it's a journey. It's like, it's not set to like, I'm going to start when I'm this. The earlier you prepare for your retirement, the better you'll be.
And you mentioned something important. I think retirement is just preparation, not just financial preparation. Mentally, emotionally, physically, because also you have to keep yourself busy and active. In that way, when that moment comes, you're going to be more prepared.
That's right. But so Atala, I know you have experiences in this, but I for myself, I know I mean, of course, I've been married for 25 years, and it's not perfect, as you said. There's always going to be issues because you're right. I mean, we are two different individuals. We grew up from different families, and then you go into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and then during that phase of your relationship, normally you try to show your best self, right? But then once you get into living under one roof, that's when you get to know each other more, and you get to show all your flaws and everything, and that's when some issues would come out or would.
But
Yeah.
let me just and I'm sorry to just kind of go over like this, but I think also is you have to consider a lot of elements here. For example, I always share, in my case, it was more a cultural differences. Some people may not consider this, but sometimes you ignore, because one of the things that I always say to people, you can love mariachis and you can maybe love the Mexican food, but you may not understand the culture. So that's two different things. Why the family is always together, why you're always calling mom and dad, and you're always talking to your family,
Yes.
even if you're in two different countries. So that's another different thing. I think maturity takes place, understanding, and I highly also I honestly now understand that definitely, how you were raised, your values, how the family that you come from. I mean, it's gonna give you a lot of input into your life. How do you face life, your challenges, everything. So I think it's about get to know more, not just your partner, but also his culture, his relationship with his family. That cultural sensitivity, which is very important, very, very important, and you cannot ignore it. Especially if you are talking about a couple with different backgrounds, different languages, but also like different ways of that they were, raised. That's very important.
Yeah, that is correct. And different personalities too. I mean, like, there's this maybe more giving person. This person is maybe a little bit more like stringent or selfish. I'm not saying, that, but there could be a clash in personalities because you just are totally different people. And you're right, even families, like the extended family, sometimes other cultures cannot, understand why you are so close to your family. Why do you have to, even like in-laws, they come into the picture too sometimes. One of the issues, right? There's a movie, Monster, is it Monster Outlaw or In-Law? Monster In-Law? Do you remember that movie? Yeah, when issues also arise from conflicts with their families. And I think that's also one common
let
thing.
me share with you something that happened. I remember one time I was in Mexico and I was with my family, and my ex-husband came into the kitchen, and we were just like, we were like, oh, we help each other, right? And he was just watching to everybody, And I said, come on, what are you doing? This is not my kitchen. So yeah, but we can go ahead and start just picking out the glass and putting it to the table. So that's just cultural sensitivity, But sometimes we don't, we ignore that. And it could be something very simple, very simple. But when you start really adding into, it can create conflict. And more if you don't have the maturity to understand those differences. So sometimes simple things can create really big things in life. And I think it's all about just to get to know more yourself and start getting to know more the other person as well.
Because, getting married is really a commitment. Yeah, it's a commitment for life. And it's like when you get into relationship, especially when you get married, I mean, you make a vow that, the vow to enriches or in richness and it, how do you call it? In death,
in illness,
in riches, and yeah.
I think what I noticed is it's communication. They're not understanding each other anymore, so they cannot fix it anymore because they cannot understand. They're trying, but it's because of lack of understanding or the willingness to understand. Then it becomes it cannot be resolved anymore.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes,
what are the three most common reasons why people get divorced? One can be
communication, finances, or what would be maybe?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of reasons, but I think the most common one, we already mentioned it. The other partner is a narcissistic person, very controlling, very jealous. He thinks of himself or herself as a superior partner, so something like that. And then the other one is financial. They have a lot of financial problems. They're indebted. They don't know anymore how to resolve it, and then it ends up they argue a lot and fight a lot because of financial problem. And then the third, it's that a third party is involved, and sometimes it's just one party, but sometimes it's multiple parties. And don't get me wrong, they try to fix it. They try to change, but it keeps on going and going, and the other partner is already tired, and the other partner sees it as a hopeless case anymore. He's not going to change, or she's not going to change.
What do you think could help couples that have separated like you, help them bring the best out of their children despite that difficult situation?
I think that first of all, they need to think not about themselves. Remember that when you go through a divorce, separation, you are acting based on your emotions. So your emotions most of the time are from resentment, like a lack of self-esteem, maybe fear, maybe frustration. All those emotions, they don't lead you to something positive in life, regardless what is the life transition. And I will tell you to look always what is the best for your kids as well. Try to keep in mind that we want to raise kids that they are as healthy as possible, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Because that's important. We're raising kids, we're shaping the life of somebody. So think about also, not just at the moment. I know that we react over everything. Can I tell you something? It's important to learn to respond. And when I say that, it's important to learn to respond actually using love, forgiveness, which is very fundamental. It's not easy, but it's a process about truly appreciating the good things that are happening. Everything is wrong, right? You are actually having the opportunity to cultivate, values, principles in a person's life. So there is a lot of good things that are happening, and I do believe that we need to focus in what we can not control, but what we can actually, how we can not control. I'm sorry, like how do you want to see this little kid or little girl, raising up, growing up? What are the values that you want to install in that person? What are the principles? What are the ideas, the behaviors? All those things are very important. That's what it really helped me. And always try to have good conversations with your kids. They are very smart. I always have deep conversations with Marcus since he was little.
I know we probably have some, of course, there are some issues or challenges going through that life after divorce, but what are the most common parenting issues that you have gone through while, after you went through the divorce process? Can you tell us any of your experiences?
Yeah, I think for me it was more like maybe sometimes the desire, about, in your mind when you go through divorce, you're still wishing, that, you want to see, like your son or your daughter to be with mom and dad. So it's more like emotional healing that needs to take place, definitely. But at the same time, maybe in my case was more like I'm not from this country, I wish I could have my family with me, for example, right? Because it's like I decided to move back to the United States. So again, now I'm not with my husband or my husband at that moment. My family is not here. So you start really kind of recreating your life. And I think to me it was more about, again, like acceptance, looking at the good things in life, being look like the opportunity that I was having to raise my son, right? And also the blessing to see that everything was perfectly orchestrated. I cannot tell you how many times just wake up in the morning, my son has been always in the sport. Taking to the school for me was very important. I mean, living in the place close to the school and then driving to work, everything was aligned, everything. When I needed something, a friend was there to help me out. So to me, it was more about, let me see how really I have something good to share. More than complaining, about being very grateful. I am focusing the good things because the most difficult things are really about accepting that you are not married, that mom and dad are not in the same house, that maybe you have to take now one weekend your son go with dad, the other weekend stay with me, So it was more about adapting a new life, a new way of living, and a new way of thinking.
Is you're a very selfless woman. Like you are selfless, right? You care about not just about your son, but other people, of course, most especially for your son. So it's not easy for a lot of women out there, I believe, because as I said, for those people or women that were in that relationship because they were dependent on the husband for so many things, I think it was a bit different for them and it's a little bit difficult for them. But as I said, because you are driven, you are compassionate, you are selfless, and you think of your son, not just for yourself, then that's what made you, a very successful mom, like what you are right now. Anyway, we have.
I wanted to share something with you, that I think is important. Mm-hmm. At the moment that you teach your kids to be themselves, to look at the good things in life, to try to keep a balance, guess what? They're going to be very unselfish. They're going to also, I remember one time, I always try to keep a balance, do things on my own, to go to the gym because he is always in the sport. So Mama also, no has to, but I decide to also embrace like going to Zumba and do little things here and there for myself. One day I was like, I wanted to stay with you after work, saying, no, Mom, you are important. Go to your Zumba classes. So it's very important because when I'm saying we're shaping the life of somebody, she's learning from you. So it's very crucial. What are the tools, the skills, the gifts, the values, the principles that you want to cultivate in your children? Think about it.
I want to know, what about you? I mean, because we talked about, of course, how it affected Marcus. But what about you? Was it hard to let go? And then when did you come to realize that, like you're already free? Because of course, in the beginning, you still had to go through that process, right? The emotional process. But when did it come to a point where like I'm free and that you have fully accepted? And was it hard to let go?
It was hard, of course, it was hard. And I faced that when I was in Mexico because I just practically, when I was going through divorce, it was again like a reaction, went to Mexico and started my healing process. But when I came back to the United States, I was always back and forth for almost a year and a half, very often. But when I decided to move again back to the United States, that's when I started like, wow, this is reality. I'm not married anymore. I'm not in my house that I used to be. I'm not in the job that I used to have. So everything was different. And from there, it was like a waking moment, Mm-hmm. I started really looking for things on my own. Started really like stretching, It was amazing, honestly, because if I'm telling you how many things I did, you will not believe it. Mm-hmm. I was just like, when you are so eager to make things happen, which I think is one of the most beautiful stages, honestly, too, because you are not in your comfort zone. you have to move. You have to take action. You have to be creative. You have to, ask for you need to find answers. Period. So I think was after moving back to the United States, it hit me because I was living so close to where I used to live before, and I did it on purpose. In that way, my son could go back to his house, and it was a challenge for me. Yes, it really was. A lot of emotions came back, a lot of mixed feelings as well, and sometimes I was like, "Wow, I can understand why I'm ending in this situation." But I always have this kind of strong faith.
What is estate and why do we plan it? What is estate planning?
Actually, good question. I love that question. What is estate and why do we plan for that? You say estate, we're talking about what comes into your mind.
Mine is like land and property, houses.
Yes, you're right. Assets. That's your estate. That's why when somebody passed away, we settle the estate. That's what we do when we do probate. We settle the estate because the estate is what you left for your loved ones. So while you're alive, you're accumulating this estate. Why we say estate planning? Why? Well, because mainly the reason why you're doing the planning is you're thinking about what will happen when you pass away, most likely, right?
I mean, we all pass away
I
someday.
know. It's just a matter of when. Hopefully not too soon because we want to enjoy our
Drive safe, eat healthy, go to the gym.
Yeah, you have to want it to have it, right? Because if you don't want it, it won't come to you. It's like your dream. You have a dream, but you're not doing anything to go after your dream. You have to chase your dream, right? So you have to have that want. You have to have that desire to want something so you can grow. But people encounter, some gaps or like that's things that stop them.
And I think everybody, we
all do. That's right. There are things that stop us from wanting to grow. And, some few things that I can think of that actually John Maxwell shares in his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, is like the assumption gap. We assume that we'll just grow automatically. But
and actually, I think that for that to happen, you have not just to be intentional, you have to also pause sometimes, because think about it, when have you grow the most? If I am asking myself, I grow the most when something is happening, something that is uncomfortable, something like a life transition just hit me, and you go through the process, but then you start really saying, wow, I want to learn something from this. In that way, it's not just intentionally what is happening into your life, but you are intentionally deciding to grow.
We don't know how to grow. So it's like there's a knowledge gap in there.
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't take the initiative on the things that we want, that we need to learn for us to grow. So we lack the knowledge.
Like, for example, like anything in life, like when some people say, I wanted to, I don't know, start a business or maybe lose weight or whatever it is, you need to be intentional. What do I really want? And how much do I want? And I think it's about also when you're talking about the knowledge. Yeah, you have to find resources. You have to find maybe mentors, coaches, people who knows already the way, and that you can actually connect with those people because they already experience, their growth, and also they can be a good guidance in your life. And we all need those people also.
That's right. That's why they call it knowledge is power. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. For us to be able to grow, we must know ourselves first, right? Because how can we grow if we don't know where we're at? How can we go, or how do we know where we want to be if we don't even know where we're at? So the law of awareness is also very crucial and important in our personal growth. We have to know our strengths, right?
Interests,
our weaknesses,
talents too.
Talents, that's right. And the opportunities that are surrounding us.
And once you identify those, cultivate them, because it's very important. Many times I was the other day talking with somebody has a lot of talents and gifts and all these things. Please make a list of all those things because they are inside of you. They are not outside. List them, choose them, read them, own them, because in that way your self-esteem is going to grow, and also you are going to start taking action. That was very crucial for her. She said, wow, she did it over and over, and now her self-esteem is going up, but also she knows more her value. She become aware about who she is.
That's right. And one thing that you can actually do is to list, make a list of your strengths, of your weaknesses, of your interests, and the opportunities that surround you, and your talents, and you can rank them. Right?
I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
that you list something, that you write something. That message goes straight to your brain. You start really kind of connecting with. That affirmations, statements, and you start really own them. That's important too. You become aware about, hey,
who you are.
I'm a great person. Hey, I am, all these things that sometimes we ignore very easily.
Yeah, especially if we all we think of ourselves sometimes is negative, because we listen to the negative talks, or we listen to the environment or to the people that actually just want to put us down, and that actually puts us down and like diminishes the value of ourselves, and we tend to allow people to do that. But if you yourself know who really you are, who you really are, then no matter what people say about you, you're not going to listen to them.
Explore another very important law. It's called the law of mirror.
Yes, the law of mirror. Okay, so mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the prettiest of them all? I'm just kidding. that's not what it says.
But it has some relation.
Yeah, a little bit. That's right. So it says that for the law of the mirror, you must see value in yourself and add value to yourself.
And I think, if I think about it, the other day I was doing a session and I asked this person, please go see yourself in the mirror and tell me what you see. And that's so interesting, because sometimes we don't see the value again. It's very easy to see all the imperfections, and then you take away your own beauty.
Yes.
Nobody's taking away your beauty. You are taking away your beauty. So that's important. When you see yourself in the mirror, go and appreciate even your gray hair, because that's wisdom, right? Try to see the goodness in you. Try to go to your heart, not just what is outside.
Yes.
And that's going to change the relationship that you have built with your own self.
Yes. And important, because when we look at ourselves in the mirror, you have to accept who you see, right?
And love.
If you accept yourself as you see yourself in the mirror without anything, and with all the impurities that we may have, because everybody does have impurities, right?
I don't.
Well, some people think they don't, but anyway, that's true. But anyway, if you love and accept yourself, you value yourself, add value to yourself, then it gives
everything.
you, it changes everything about you. Yes.
It's like, for example, think about it. You are raising kids, for example, and maybe you start looking at yourself with this kind of criticism. Your kids are learning from you too. So you are teaching them without even the intention to look at the wrong things in them. So that self-esteem is to build since you are little, right? In that way, it could be easier to appreciate who you are, the beauty that you have. It would be even better and simple, easier to talk good about yourself. That inner dialogue will be more constructive. So that's what is important, this law, I think. Very powerful if you think about it.
It is, because especially, if whatever value you put in yourself, that's how people will actually put value on you. They're not going to raise your value. If you look at yourself as someone who's nothing, then they're going to look at you as nothing.
What is my highest high? What is the moment in your life when you just felt so good and that you think that you have achieved so much? And if those moments in your life give you positive reinforcement, then keep doing those. What makes you happy? What gives you joy when whatever you're doing? That no matter what that your day is going, if you just think of that it turns your day into a positive one. So what is your highest high? For me, I think my family is my highest high, because whatever I'm going through all my life, as long as I know my family are okay, then I'm okay. So because they are the most important, they're my biggest success. That they are the whatever you value, as they say, is where your riches are, right? So to me, it's my family. So that's my biggest high. And then, of course, you can also ask yourself, what is my lowest low? Have you gone through the deepest pit in your life? What is that thing that's giving you or stopping you from being the better version of yourself? Have you been to that moment when you just feel like the world is just against you? And if you have that and you realize how tough it is, then you just surrender and then just say that I can do this. I can do this with my strength. I can do this because I have the power and I have the will to get better through the situation, right? Of course, waiting is like, it's just an excuse. So being consistent is actually not just about discipline, but actually being productive, right? Because that's the product of being consistent, is like you're actually getting into something, you're getting something done, you're achieving the goal, and you go beyond achieving the goal. Even when you already have achieved the goal, you still continue to grow, you still continue to work for whatever you want to achieve in life, right?
And I
So
think it's like a develop a muscle, like when we're start exercising, going to the gym, and then you don't see any changes, and suddenly you see that your body's changing completely, but you're not changing your body physically, you're changing your mindset. So that's a very different thing. When we try to change a habit, like no procrastination or discipline, for example, it's really about more like a mindset skill that we need to develop, and it has to take place at a conscious level once again, because whatever we're doing, we're in the subconscious, so it's very easy to break our own rules, very easily. Self-sabotage, inner dialogue, criticism, all those things take away. They're like a minus and plus. They are totally in the minus column. So I believe it's more about self-discovery, self-reflection, and it's a very inner work that is available to all of us, but not everybody want to take advantage of.
yeah, and that's the power of consistency too, is, as you said, it's like building a muscle. And we have memory muscle in everything that we do. So you like a habit, they say, right? It takes 21 days to develop a good habit. And and it takes that long also to develop a bad habit. And the I don't know, but it's so hard because it's hard to break a bad habit, right? So it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. So it's really important that we have to follow the law of consistency for us to be able to continue to grow. Because otherwise, if we don't reflect on the things that we are currently having in our lives, if we don't reflect on what our strengths and weaknesses are, and what the things that we want to improve on ourselves, if we don't reflect on those things that can actually make our situation better and can give us growth and in a very positive way, if we don't try to be consistent with our actions, then we're stopping to become the better person that we are. We're actually slowing our growth, But if we try to do those things and follow these different laws that we are actually trying to help you with, then we are going to help ourselves flourish. We're going to grow
Yeah.
beyond our expectations.